our Confederate soldiers. That's what this was for. They gave their lives to the South in her time of need. What was the need? To have slaves. That's why we're here every day. We're gonna fight this thing, and we want to get that thing moved.
In 2016, the SPLC released a report estimating about 718 Confederate statues and monuments across America. Included in that statistic was the 100-year-old Confederate statue sitting here in the town square of Denton, Texas. I'm getting ready to meet Willie Hudspeth, a local resident who for the past 20 of those years has been protesting its existence. Willie began his fight to remove the statue in 1998, and ever since then, he's made fighting for its removal a weekly part of his life. On every Sunday afternoon, he holds a protest next to the monument, and every Tuesday, he's in the courtroom speaking out to county officials.
I can stand here, and as long as I'm physically fit to do so, I will stand here.
For the vast majority of this time, Willie has been waging this fight by himself. However, with the spotlight on Confederate monuments, his voice has grown, and he's received some new allies in his struggle. As a result of the increased attention, Denton's court created an independent committee made up of 15 locals, including Willie, with the goal of deciding the fate of the monument. The recommendation is going to be presented publicly in just a few days. Willie?
Yes.
Hey, how you doing? Lee.
All right.
Nice to meet you.
Same here.
What's been your perspective on growing up in Texas?
When I was young, there were segregated schools, segregated communities. I just grew up with a real racial bias. I did go to Vietnam, but those bullets didn't care about what color you were. So I learned your brother is the man that's right behind you with a gun watching your back. That's your brother.
Returning from Vietnam, Willie came home to Texas, moving from Fort Worth to Denton. He discovered the county's Confederate Monument sitting in its town square. The monument was erected in 1918, and on top, they put an anonymous soldier to represent the citizens of Denton who fought in the Civil War. The 2 water fountains attached to it were a relic of the Jim Crow era, and supposedly for whites only.
I found out that back in the 30s, business owners would come out and harass people who were not white who drank from the fountains. They would beat them up. Everybody learned you do not drink from those fountains, they're for white people only.
Over the years, Willie's protests continued. He petitioned the water fountains be turned on, but was denied years later. Denton County cited that they never worked. In place, a nearby plaque was added with historical context. Years of compromise continued, but Willie kept up the conversation.
I'd be out there by myself. 1 or 2 people maybe would show up. Then Charlottesville happened.
That was the turning point.
Oh, yes, sir. Now the news was on my side.
The growing focus on Denton's monument brought new voices to Willie's fight. As local news coverage grew, so did the pressure on Denton's court to take action.
Denton County commissioners heard hours of public comment today on what to do with the monument.
What do you think has happened at the county level to cause Willie to feel that this is being delayed intentionally or that he has been ignored for the past 20 years?
Part of it was because Willie kept changing his mind. He really and truly, for a long, long time, was the only one. The only one.
So on Tuesday, the committee will deliver their formal recommendation?
Yes.
What would take place thereafter?
Well, we'll take their recommendation and we're going to have to do some studying. There's an issue of cost. I have an awful lot of people that have contacted me saying, no matter what you do, don't spend any tax dollars doing it. If you want to gather up donations and do something, that's fine. So we're going to have to talk about those things.
How do you respond to those who feel subjugated by the historical context that surrounds the statue's creation?
Well, I think your question is wrong.
What about it?
It was created by people who wanted to remember and memorialize their loved ones that were lost in the war. That's it.
So the people who feel as though this is a symbol of Jim Crow South, a symbol of...
I don't agree.
You don't agree?
I don't agree. I don't see it.
The committee had 2 options: move the monument or keep the monument and add video kiosks for historical context.
All in favor of the motion as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The vote was a unanimous 15-0 decision to keep the monument and add the kiosks. But Willie felt like his vote was yet another compromise, and so he carried on with his weekly Sunday protest.
All right, how you doing, man? Staying warm, I hope. Try to. If we're going to get this thing to move, the decks are stacked against us. People will make you change that vote.
So Willie just got done addressing the group of protesters that have come out in support of him. We haven't seen any counter-protesters yet, but we have seen an increasing amount of police presence. There are snipers posted on 3 of the buildings around the town square and a number of cops standing on different corners. It seems like there's a pretty heavy police presence for what is a very subdued protesting presence. So the counter-protester showed up and he's addressing the group right now.
And so you're saying this is not a racist
Excuse me, that was history. That has nothing to do with this. This right here is not anything that says anything about racial hate. It's got the Confederate States of America shown on it. They're Confederate soldiers. They fought for the CSA. Doesn't mean I would.
Right.
It doesn't mean I agree to it by any means, in fact. But the reason why that statue was put up there was to memorialize the many people that left Denton County and went to fight for the South.
Don't come out here and tell me we're picking the wrong fight, dude. This is the fight.
We can be helping people who are being actually oppressed by the government you're just discussing.
Are you doing that? Be on your side about
Yeah, but here's the thing.
We're doing it.
You think
Start
you're gonna
something.
get them to stop putting black people in jail if they won't admit they fought a war to fucking keep them
But
enslaved?
I'm saying, you think this is what's going
Yes,
to bring that
it's
change
a
about?
symbol. It empowers hate.
But I like the fact that you'll talk about it. You know, everybody's got their opinions.
How do you feel about how today went?
I think it's turned out good. Is we're going to continue trying to get this statue removed. If it's going to stay, then we want the changes that we've asked to be put here pretty quick.
The committee's unanimous decision was ultimately accepted by the court, and Willie gave his thoughts to the decision.
You got the outcome that most of you wanted. The monument should remain on the square. But as I sat there and thinking, what have these last 18 years been all about then, if it's still going to be there? And so I was frustrated. So this Sunday, I'm going to still be at the monument because it hadn't been done yet. But my message is going to be, what can we do to come together? And I don't know the answer to that. I'm just going to be out there asking the question. What can we do to come together?
Do you feel comfortable leaving this historical context that's going to be determined in the hands of the commission and the Historical Society?
We're not going to.
How are you going to fight that?
Sunday, 4 to 6.
So you're not done?
No. Every Tuesday and Sunday. That's what I'm going to do.
Why? Why keep doing this?
Probably the real answer is I don't know. I don't know. But if I don't do that, I've lost what I could do for my grandchildren as far as getting some justice for what has happened to me in the past and what will happen to them if they don't fight too.